for your future, for your happiness, for your best life, and then utilizing and coming to understand the power of real estate and helping you to attain that. So trying to kind of paint that overall picture for everybody and kind of break it down as we go. So definitely, if you do have any questions, please jot them down. Definitely, I can go to the chat afterwards and make sure that everything is addressed, but hopefully all of your answers will be addressed as we go through. All right. Oh, I should also say this is my first time doing a webinar, so please have patience with me. I hope that everything goes well with the PowerPoint. And thank you, David, very much for going through it with me. I appreciate that. So thank you for everybody's patience. I hope it's fine.
No problem.
Thank you. So again, my name is Stephanie Lowe. I do and have been running workshops, seminars, and events for many, many years, just in person, not with technology. And we serve and work through, I call it health, wealth, real estate, to again help people in all various aspects of their life, in terms of just being their very best. So I'll kind of help you guys understand how to kind of connect with me afterwards as well, but just wanted to share that with you. Okay, so we're going to begin by getting into mindset. And I really find that is the basis of everything. Your thoughts help to dictate the things that you manifest and help to see in your life. And oftentimes we have a plan and a purpose, an idea of where we want to go, but really it's ourselves and our own fears that kind of get in the way. And this is a beautiful picture of Bahamas. All right, so manifesting the life of your dreams. So again, you may want to kind of jot down some of these things. But what is your dream life? What is freedom to you? What are your deepest dreams and desires? Our destiny is shaped by our deepest intentions and desires. So as your desire is, so is your intention. As your intention is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your deed. And as your deed, so is your destiny. So our thoughts and desires and visions and intentions all drive and work towards what action we take. And the actions that we take help to bring about our destiny and the things that we experience. So I wanted to actually start by sharing my own personal journey with real estate and real estate investing. I had a meeting a few weeks ago with someone, and I was kind of explaining to them about portfolio real estate. And they kind of said, so you keep buying real estate to what end? And I thought that was an awesome question because I had never had anybody ask me that before. So I am going to touch on that before, and I'm so grateful to her for asking that. And I also wanted to share about my tightrope experience, and it's something that, you know, I've kind of experienced throughout family, business, and ultimately, you know, identifying the freedom that that I have now and continue to build. And I'm going to see if any of you guys can kind of relate to that. Okay, so my personal story. So as a young girl, I grew up in a single family, single income home. My parents had a pretty bad divorce, and with that ultimately left them having to sell our family home, which was, you know, their or our family assets. From that, my mother ended up moving out of the country. And so I was kind of left to, you know, figure it out. So I ended up working. I've always been, you know, very active, and I'm happy to work and learn new things and whatnot. So during my last year of high school and then through universities, I ended up working to pay my rent, pay for school, pay for food. And I ended up working about 2 or 3 jobs, depending at the time, while I was also full-time in university. And I found I was moving from place to place about one or 2 years at a time. So I was always moving along, you know, working very hard, hustling. And my understanding of life that I learned from my family, of course, was to go through school, finish school, get a good job, get married, buy a house. And my understanding of money and finances was pretty much just to make sure that I pay my bills, pay them on time, and don't take on too much credit if possible. So the idea was that credit, if you took on too much, you would just sort of drown in that. So stay away from it if at all possible. Um, when you do have a little bit of extra money, then you can go ahead and spend it because you don't really know when that little extra bit is going to come your way again. So that was kind of like my mentality, and that was my understanding of life and the way things flow. And so pretty much that's exactly what I did in that order. I don't know if any of you can relate to that, but that was it. Extremely hard worker. One variation I guess I did to that program was I found that being as an employee in a workplace, I tended to outwork my employees. I always did really, really well, and ended up doing the work of 2 or 3 people in the workplace, and decided that I didn't need that, and I could go out and probably do this on my own and make more money, which I thought working harder, doing that would help me to ultimately have the life that I wanted. So in that, I basically had my bachelor's of science degree in kinesiology, health science, and psychology. I ran a fitness studio, and then I eventually expanded to opening a wellness center. And I worked in that wellness center about 6 days a week, about 12 hours a day. And it was beautiful. I loved my business. I felt it was a way that I could really share my passion in helping people and changing the world. And, I definitely had some amazing experiences through my business. However, I realized that, the freedom that I dreamed of and the family that I hoped to have was kind of in conflict, because again, I thought, okay, the more money I have, the more freedom I'll have to spend time with my family, but I have to work more hours in my clinic and bring in more clients and staff and stuff like that to get to where I wanted to be. But unfortunately, and I'm not sure if any of you could explain that or can relate to that, but ultimately what I felt like was that I was on a tightrope. I felt like through most of my life and through most of my experience, I was walking on a very, very high tightrope without any safety nets. And if I didn't keep plowing ahead, working hard, and I fell off, that would be it. So that was my mindset. And so as I connected with more people along my journey, I had financial advisors saying, what would happen if you got sick? How would you support your future? I didn't have, and also the family that I wanted. As a self-employed individual, I didn't have like employment insurance or anything for maternity leave, retirement savings plan. I didn't have any of that. So I was kind of left thinking, what would I do? How can I change my life? And so what I say at that point is that enter real estate, and that's where things and my mindset kind of started to shift. So an investor had actually purchased the land where I had my wellness studio. And because I didn't own the property, I didn't own the land, they came and basically said, you got to move. And that was shocking for me. It was so overwhelming because, as I just let you guys know, my life I felt was in my hands, and I kind of had to stay on my path. But telling me that I had to leave, and it was a sort of like a short duration of time and sort of an indefinite period of time. And I'm like, how do I shift? I'll have to rebuild my business again. Where do I go? So anyhow, I ended up reaching out to a realtor and a mortgage broker, and saying, maybe if I had a property of my own, then I would be in control. I could live in the property, I could run my business out of the property, and maybe that was the way to go. What they ended up showing me was how I could leverage the current property that I owned, which I was renting out it was a 3-bedroom condo. So I was renting out one of the rooms to help to cover the mortgage, right? And they said, well, we could buy another property. We can leverage the equity. I had no idea what equity was. I just, bought the property according to plan, right? So they showed me what equity was, and they showed me how to utilize that to purchase another property, which again, I could have my clinic in, or I could rent, and I could start to have some rental income, and that would help to manage some of my expenses. So that was very powerful for me because it was a shift. I now owned a property. I purchased a property that could help me to have a little bit more cash flow, that could help to manage my everyday and monthly costs. And also I could start to put away something and build something of value for my future, for my retirement. And this really, really opened my mind to just a different way. So flash forward 4 years, I attained my real estate license. I gave birth to my beautiful son. He is 3, and I have a growing real estate portfolio. So today, I get to help families. I get to help them to find their dream home, and they get to enjoy that peace and security that I felt I didn't really have growing up. So that is definitely one joy that I have. And I think we all have the right to feel that security and stability and peace of mind, of course. The other thing that I love to do and get to do as a realtor is I get to help people invest. And so today when I'm presenting different options and different means of growing through real estate, I will show you some different ways that I have actually worked with some of my clients to help to build their own portfolios. And of course, these portfolio will serve you in your future. Again, could be retirement, your future generations, of course. My goal when people ask me with real estate, so to what end? To what end do you keep buying properties? And what that looks like for me is a property for my retirement, a property for each of my children as their inheritance, to give them the money they may need to go to school, to start their business, to rent out and have income, whatever it may be. Basically just enough that I feel settled and I can travel and enjoy and do the things that I like to do. So when I envision my ideal life, I often say it has something in line with me, teaching yoga classes on a beach, sitting on a mountain, meditating. For me, that's my peace, helping people continue to be the very best versions of themselves, to find freedom and to find happiness. So I would ask you guys again, just to kind of think within yourself, what is freedom to you? And what would it mean to you to have it? So from here, I would say to you guys, let's get clear on your intentions. Okay, you need to develop a clear vision of what you want, and you need to be very specific with your intentions so that your universe and God and all the things around you can help to have a clear structure to work with you, to help things fall in place so that you know that you're going in the right direction. So for example, if you want to attract more material abundance into your life, your intentions, the things that you focus on should be, abundance is unlimited. It's unbounded. It's always available. Everywhere you look, it's coming to you. And you just have to open your heart and open your mind to those things. You have to be, diligent in what you're seeking, right? And although it's important to not necessarily be attached to a particular outcome, so you may not know exactly how all the pieces are going to fall together, but again, you're having intention of where you want to go, and you need to be clear about that. So a great question and a great place to begin is what are your thoughts towards wealth? What are your thoughts towards making money? So sometimes people have a mindset or a thought that, money is evil. I don't know, people who have money, lie, cheat, and steal to get it. People who want money or have lots of money lack heart and soul. But I really have to say, I really have to challenge a lot of those mindset. And sometimes I find people don't even like to attend seminars and things like this because they feel like it's in conflict with some of the beliefs that they have. My particular beliefs, and it definitely took time in changing and shifting that, is that abundance is a beautiful thing. Wealth is a beautiful thing. It can be used and should be used to help people, to take care of people, to feed people, to help your family, to help those in need. It's a powerful energy and it's a beautiful energy. And, you know, definitely I think more and more as people come to this understanding, more people with heart and soul start to, you know, attract this wealth, and the world can be impacted in a very beautiful way. So, you know, dig deep within yourself and see if you have any of those beliefs that need a little bit of a shift. A great thing to kind of look into and research, and it is something I love to talk about. I won't get into it too much today, but how do the wealthy think? How do the middle class think? There's some very specific mindsets and thoughts towards work and wealth and money that they have and how they view the world. And again, how helps to see what they actually experience, right? So definitely something very interesting to get into. So your beliefs versus your limiting beliefs. What are your thoughts, and are these thoughts serving you or are they stopping you? And what's standing in your way? And ultimately, what it usually comes down to is our own selves. So once you've started to have that shift in mindset and your heart is open to wanting to truly grow and attain more wealth, what do we do with it? Where do we plant these seeds of intention? And I came across this really cool metaphor, so I'm going to share it with you. I think it helps to kind of break down, because this is a very deep topic, but it helps to break it down and make it very simplistic. So imagine that each thought you have is a bus, and it's traveling along the road of your mind. So you have this idea of where you want to go. There's traffic, there's buses moving along with you, okay? So some of these buses carry positive, loving thoughts. And some of these buses carry judgmental, self-critical, you know, negative thoughts. Everyone has both types of buses traveling along with them. But if you allow these buses to pass and you stay focused on where you want to go, they won't do you any harm. You know, again, these thoughts come, they help you maybe check in, but you know ultimately where you want to go. They don't pull you away and distract you. So sometimes people tend to believe the things that these negativity buses carry. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. It's never going to get better. And they get stuck. They stop themselves right in their mind from being able to take massive action, to be able to take the steps that are going to bring them towards where they're trying to go. Now the choice is yours, okay? You have, you know, complete power over your thoughts. And I really have to challenge you and encourage you to practice hopping off the bus of negativity, because that seems to be where our mind, you know, wants to go to keep you safe, to keep you where you are. But the more you put those things away, the more that you're going to start to manifest and experience all those wonderful things that you want to have in your life. And of course, this applies to all aspects of your life. So what choice are you going to take today? I hope that all of you are going to be very open to what I have to share with you. You know, keep an open mind, keep an open heart, and that can only serve you, right? So commit to your visions and take massive action. As I mentioned, I do hold a number of different events and seminars. Again, some on mindset, some on physical and just being very healthy within, you know, our physical selves, and obviously on bank account. I call it abundance of mind, body, and bank account. And a seminar directly related to wealth is our Wealth Building One-on-One. It's a 3-hour half-day course that we get together and just dig deep into a lot of these concepts. And we spent the day together. This was a new money workshop. It was awesome. It was awesome. All right. So real estate as a wealth building vehicle. That's what we're here to talk about today. Now, many people think about real estate as a profitable investment. So they think of it as a way to bring in extra cash every month. They think of it as a way to grow equity, to allow that you can go and put towards your retirement and do the things you need to do. Andrew Carnegie said that 90% of the world's millionaires have been created by investing in real estate. So these are some positive thoughts and beliefs towards real estate and what it can do for you. This is a very vague example, but Arnold Schwarzenegger had dreams and visions of being an actor. And getting started through his career, he did not have a lot of money. What served him was actually real estate. He had invested and inherited a bit of land that was in an area that wasn't so developed. Over time, through development and equity built, he was able to attain great amounts of wealth through his real estate, and those funds helped to give him the freedom to focus on his career. As you guys all know, super successful actor. Again, real estate is just a really powerful wealth building tool that can serve you in whatever it is, wherever it is that you're trying to go. Okay. Now, as we have positive,
I said dots, I think.
As we have these positive ideas and thoughts towards real estate, the doubt kind of hops in, right? Many times we start to make excuses about getting in and stepping into real estate. Sometimes we have thoughts or hear things that there's no good properties available. The prices are too high and I'll just sit along the sidelines and wait for the bubble to burst. I have to tell you that Canada, GTA, this area is really fueled by a lot of immigration, a lot of developments. We have a lot of industries and technology and health. It is one of a very, very strong economic hubs. And if you were to look in other places of the world, for example, even just in Canada, Vancouver, it's just an expensive place to be. And really, I don't foresee any huge pop, as they say, or burst in the bubble. I just think that real estate over time in this area, due to a number of factors, is just going to continue to go up. And the more that you sit on the sidelines, the more you're hurting yourself. So, got to be open-minded and understand. And I'm going to, again, get into some strategies a little bit later, but don't just sit on the sidelines and pass up on great opportunities. There's some areas that I will talk about a little bit later. I've been working in over the last 4 years, and I've seen the property values grow substantially in little towns, just 45 minutes, half an hour outside of the GTA. I myself grew up in Cambridge, and our family home at the time was purchased about, I think it was like 189,000 or so, very large, over 2,000 square foot 4-bedroom house. And today in that area of Cambridge, those properties are worth 900,000 and some of them $1 million. So we really want to take advantage of these properties and these opportunities as they arise, okay? The other thing that I've heard in dealing with some people is other people speaking in. So mothers, brothers, sisters, daughters, even financial advisors, which I found has been shocking sometimes, will say that, real estate is too risky. Put your money elsewhere. You're going to lose everything if you invest in real estate. But the truth is, if you are tapped into the strategies that have been working for many people and you do your due diligence, it is a very powerful and successful tool that has worked for millions of people. Okay, so the key to your success lies in learning the strategies and techniques used by successful investors across Canada to achieve financial freedom. Amazing opportunities do still exist within the Canadian real estate market, and I am going to show you guys some of those today. Now, if you're somebody just looking at getting into the market, you want to become a first-time home buyer, these are the two major barriers to entry that I have seen people come across. Credit, and then that initial deposit amount. So I'm going to get into both of those. The first one we'll start with is looking at credit. Now, these credit strategies that I'm going to share with you are ones that, again, if you are, a few years out from purchasing real estate, the things that you can use and should use and start building on now so that you are prepared once you enter. If you are somebody who is a short way out from buying, please make sure check in with your own profile, see how you are matching up with some of these tips and strategies, and if there's little things that you can implement to help boost your position, please do. And lastly, if you are someone who is trying to build your portfolio, you already own one property or you own a couple and want to expand, your credit is a very, very, very powerful tool to leverage. And we want to make sure that you are in an optimal position so that you, again, can have the best opportunities to grow and to keep growing. So credit ultimately is a very important aspect of helping to manage your overall monthly carrying cost. Okay, so your credit is going to affect the interest rate that you get from a particular lender. So generally, the better credit that you have, there are some other aspects we'll talk about, but the better credit rating that you have, the better interest rate generally you can begin to access. Okay, if your credit is very poor, that could just be a flat out no from a lender. Okay, and I like to put it in your mind that a no is just a not right now. There are things that you can do and implement. Don't give up all hope if you have a super low credit score. Just note some of these strategies and start working on them, because with your hard work, you can start to see a shift. Okay. Your credit ultimately to lenders, when they're looking at it, just shows your credit trustworthiness. So your ability to take on a loan and pay it off. They want to see that you have that habit, that they can trust you. If they give you this loan, you're going to make the payments on time and you're going to pay it off. Okay. So your goal for all of you should be to try to make sure that you have a credit score of 680 or above. Okay. Sometimes people don't access or check up on their credit report, and I highly recommend that you do. Some people think that if they pull their credit report, it's going to negatively affect their score. There's soft pulls and there's hard pulls when it comes to your credit. Doing a soft pull would be someone who maybe you already have a loan from, or you just checking in, and it does not affect your credit score. If you are doing a hard pull, you're bouncing around to different mortgage brokers, you're applying for cars and credit cards and what are those things called when you in the I don't even know what they're called, department store cards and such like that. Those things are affecting your credit score, and they are, it's causing it to go down. So if you are just checking in, it is okay. It is not going to hurt your score. The reason that you want to check in with your credit report, first is to definitely make sure that there's no errors on your report, because these things can be fixed. And as they're fixed, it can help to improve your score. You also always want to be aware of identity theft to protect yourself and make sure that no one else is utilizing your information and compromising your financial health. The main resources for accessing and checking in for your credit report is through Equifax, TransUnion, and more I see banks also allowing you to quickly access your credit score, RBC, and David, I believe yesterday you said BMO was a good source as well. So just talk to your bank even and just get your hand on that report. So credit is not a right, it is a privilege. Okay. Again, one of the ideas I told you guys that I had was that, credit was a bad thing. Don't touch it. It's only going to cause you problems. And that is really not the right mindset. It is a privilege to have access to credit. It will help you grow. It is a wonderful thing to leverage in your favor. Minimum score should be 650. I like to have everybody, push forward for 680. It's an average score, and you're going to get better opportunities, better interest rates. If you can hit 775 and above, and all of us can, by continuing, to work and stay diligent on these things, but having 775 or higher is obviously a high rating, and you're going to get the best offers. Instead of applying for credit, you're going to have credit thrown at you all the time, right? And that's great. You just want to be mindful of what you're choosing and what opportunities you're taking advantage of. Okay. Some things that we're looking for in terms of a better score is income. So if you are employed full-time, it should be a stable income for about 2 years. If you're part-time, should be about 3 years in the same industry or the same company. And the number 65K is an annual income, and whether that's just you or annual family income, if you can kind of have that profile, it helps in terms of the credit that you'll be access to. Another tip as well is your debt utilization. So that would be 30% of your total income. So if your annual income is $100,000, then you should have $30,000 or less of debt. And again, that's going to show in your favor. Your credit card or loan balances should be under 35% of their limit. Again, this is going to work very in favor for you. If you have some cards that are completely paid off and you have others that have a high balance, go ahead and spread that balance across a few of your cards So they're all under 35%. Sometimes we'll even say start at 50, bring it down 35. You'll notice your score is going to start rising with that, okay? Also, a mix of credit is very, very valuable. So for example, you may have 3 credit cards. You've had one for 6 years, one for 8 years, one for 2 years. Awesome. 2 lines of credit. Maybe you have a home equity line of credit, a personal line of credit. If it's about 10K or more, that's awesome. And the mix again is having like revolving credit, so an auto loan or a mortgage payment, where you have this loan amount and you're servicing it regularly over time. So having a credit mix works very, very well in your favor as well. And also using your card. So using your card for small purposes, purchases, so getting gas, going to the grocery store. There's some cards as you continue to build your credit portfolio that give you cashback options and points. These are great. Use your cards, but you want to pay it off before it gets into the next billing cycle. Tip that I learned also was that let's say you used $100 on your credit card. Within, let's say, a couple of weeks, you're going to pay off $70, and then before your billing cycle comes at the end of the month, you can pay off that last $30. And again, that just shows that the card is active and in use, and you have the intention to pay off your cards and build your credit, and that will really help to boost your score as well. So your credit report also has the ability to make a credit statement. So for example, if you pull your credit report and you notice that your score is very low, you can call in and report that, hey, I had an issue of identity theft 2 or 3 years ago. And so when lenders are reviewing your account, they will know why certain things are popping up on your report. Again, reviewing your report helps you to to correct any areas that you may find, and also negotiate any outstanding collections. You want to have those settled up. They will come off your credit report once they settle. If you have things that have been on there 5 or 6 years and you're like, not dealing with it, your score continues to plummet. So you want to get in there, negotiate it, and get it settled, get it out of your way, so you can start to build and again take advantage of that privilege that credit is to you. So by leveraging the credit system, you can absolutely build wealth. Some people again have different myths towards it. So the less credit I have, the higher my score will be. Again, that's not true. Having a mix of credit is actually going to work in your favor to boost your score. Sometimes people think again that if they're going to close a card, that's going to work in their favor and it's going to help their credit to rise. But again, that's not true. It's good. Show that you pay off your balances, use it a little, pay it off, use it a little, pay it off within the billing cycle. So those are some very powerful tools that you can use to make sure that you're in a great position to get an awesome interest rate from the best lender as possible as you're building your portfolio. So the next hurdle, I could say, that a lot of people run into is as far as the deposits and down payments go. So first-time home buyers, you can typically qualify for 5% down. Now, to qualify for this, you want to have steady employment. You should have good credit and a good debt to income ratio. So you would go to your broker, have them check in and see if you would qualify for this as a first-time home buyer. So your down payments, the amount that you're going to need to put down for your mortgage at closing, typically will range between 5% to 20%. So if you are putting down a 5% for your down payment, you're going to have to get mortgage insurance, CMHC. If you put down 10%, you will have to pay slightly less mortgage insurance. If you do 20% down or more, then you don't have to worry about that extra monthly cost from mortgage insurance. So again, something to kind of check in with your mortgage brokers, look at the numbers, look at the funds that you have, and just help put together the plan that's going to work for you in terms of a monthly carrying cost that makes sense. Investors, if you already own a property or two, you may have a primary residence and a secondary residence. You may have a primary residence and a couple of investment properties. When you come to get your mortgage, the lenders are going to want you typically to put at least 20% down. If you're self-employed, or again, you're building, you've kind of gone along and built your portfolio, 35% down or more is definitely going to help you. It's going to help you get, again, a great lender, great interest rate. It's also going to help to make sure that those monthly carrying costs are a little lower, and that's going to help you with your cash flow. Okay, so just consider that as you're looking to purchase and expand, you have to have some sum of money available to help you to build. Okay, investors may be able to access some of these funds from the equity gained from their current properties that they have in their portfolio. So simple little formula: you buy your property, you do what you can to build it up, you know, waiting over time, small little rental jobs. Over time, you can then cash out on some of this equity that is gained, and then you can take that, you know, 35% down, 20% down, you take those funds and you can get into your next property. To what end? You decide. What is your vision? What is your goal? For you, having 2 properties may be all that you want, all that you need. Perfectly fine. Okay. So some other ways that we can access and grow our down payments is through a few strategies. So again, these I usually get into a lot deeper during my other seminars and events, but I wanted to just present them to you. So joint venture. Joint venture is you getting together with your cousin, your uncle, your brother, your spouse, and purchasing a property. It doesn't have to be 50-50. Your ownership of the property does not have to be 50-50. It could be 90-10. It could be 70-30. That's fine. It's just both of you guys pooling your resources. And sometimes even there's one sort of silent investor, so to speak. It's someone that's just investing some of that money to make sure you have enough to move forward. Their name may not be on title, but you of course want to have a lawyer draft up all the terms and details of your agreement. Joint ventures are very, very popular. You know, people do them all the time in many communities, and it's something that, you know, you're able to partner, work together, and help each other grow, help each other build over time. There is something called the first-time homebuyers incentive, which I would definitely encourage you to reach out to a mortgage broker to see if you qualify and if it's a good thing for you. But essentially, that first-time homebuyer incentive is like a joint venture with the government. You put 5% down, they will give you 5% down as a first-time homebuyer. It helps to, again, manage your monthly payment costs by bringing your mortgage insurance down. When it comes time for you to sell, if they gave you 5% of the purchase price at the time of purchasing, when it comes time to sell, whatever the new higher value of your property is, whatever that equity and all that has gained, they're going to take 5% of the new value of your property, and they're going to make some money on your investment. I think it's an awesome opportunity, but why not partner with your brother in doing it? Why not partner with your mother, your auntie? And again, so that, you know, within the community, within the people that you know, love, and trust, you guys are working together to grow. So just an idea on joint ventures. They're very, very wonderful. Okay. A syndicate. This one is where you have gone out. Maybe you're really interested in investing in the US market, okay, which is a really cool market. So you've gone out, you found the property, you've put together the contractors, the realtor, lawyer, you figured it all out. And what you've done is now you can present this investment opportunity to 3 or 4 different people. They will all come in. They will bring the money for the down payment and the work. You've kind of set it how much each person is to put down. And then you also take part ownership in that property. And so that's another way, if you yourself don't have access to cash, presenting and organizing, putting the whole deal together can be another way for you to get into the real estate market. Of course, we have opportunities through inheritance, which is why I believe so strongly, as I said, in really developing your portfolio so you have something for your children and for your loved ones to be able to go ahead and get into the game, right? Money management strategies. So oftentimes in my seminars and events, I do bring in mortgage brokers and financial advisors, and we discuss tips on budgeting, you know, changing from Rogers to Chatter and saving yourself $100, $150 a month, not going and buying out your food as often, cutting back on your Starbucks or your Timmy's budget. There's so many different ways, even adjusting some of your insurance policies and that. There's so many ways to start putting more money back into your pockets to help you better serve your goals, instead of not having control and kind of letting things, kind of just go, right? So check in, see if there's better ways that you can be managing your money so that you can effectively reach your goals and get to where you want to go. There is another opportunity for first-time buyers to go, oh, I see my computer's getting on, to do RRSP loans. So this is a really great strategy as well. Again, I encourage you to talk with your mortgage broker about how to access and qualify for this. Even if you have not been, even if you have not been steadily contributing to the RRSP, you can still qualify and access this loan. The monthly payments are not very high, and it is a great way if you are a little bit short and you are ready to get into the market. It's a way to kind of make up for some of that and, again, just get your foot in the game of real estate. And then, as I mentioned, the first-time home buyers incentive is a way to match and help to grow that down payment that you have. So again, if you have 5% down, they will match your 5% down in a resale. If you're buying pre-construction, which again we will talk about today, you have your 10% down, they will match your 10% down. So there's also opportunities to access low deposit homes. So this is an area of pre-construction that I have really focused in. Because of my passion for helping people and my passion for helping investors, I drive all over, all over the GTA and abroad to find and negotiate these opportunities for you guys. And we're gonna chat about those in a minute. So in the GTA, so like in Toronto, in Peel, like usually the builders with pre-construction are going to ask for you to put 20% down, 21% down, I've seen as well. And there is a difference between a deposit amount and a down payment amount. So I'm going to try to explain this to you without too much confusion. The deposit amount is the amount that you put down with your agreement. So if you are purchasing a property on resale, you're going to put in your offer, you're going to negotiate the terms, and you're going to leave a deposit with that property. Could be 40,000, could be 10,000. It's again usually dependent on the purchase price, but it's not typically a set amount. Okay, you have a little flexibility in there. When it comes to buying pre-construction, the builder requires the same thing. Again, they are going to be building a house for you and paying workers, buying materials. So they want you again to have your skin in the game. They want you to put some amount down. So again, typically Toronto area is asking for 20 or 21% down. This deposit is separate from your down payment amount in that if you've gone and spoke to your mortgage broker and your mortgage broker says that you only need to you qualify for 5% down, 5% down payment to get your mortgage, and the builder is asking for 20%, you have to put 20% down. You've met your 5% requirement in doing so, right, from the mortgage broker. If the builder is asking you for 5% down, but your mortgage broker is telling you that you need to put a 10% down payment to purchase your property, you put 5%, 5% deposit with the builder. So let's say 20K. At the time of closing, which could be 1 to 2 years out, that's when you would put the balance, that another 5% towards your down payment. So those are, I hope I did that well for you guys. There is a deposit amount and then there is a down payment amount. So these are two separate things and both need to be considered when you're moving forward. The benefit of these low deposit homes, which we're going to chat about just now, helps you to take advantage of getting into real estate, building equity, building your wealth. So this is something that I do host frequently in the office. We do plan reviews. So I will pull out a number of projects. I'm going to review very, very quickly today. I'm not going to get into too much detail, but you guys are definitely invited to come out to the next plan review. And we go over all the details of the project, what's going on in the city, what the prices are, what are the advantages, disadvantages of buying into a project, and then you can take advantage of those. So they're really really great informational tools. Okay, so talking about pre-construction low deposit homes, here are a little bit of overview of 3 areas or 3 opportunities that I've been working on. So the first one is a $20K deposit home, and they're closing next spring. So this is about an hour out of like Peel, Brampton, Mississauga. And they're townhouses. They're freehold townhouses. So freehold means that there's no additional condo fees or anything like that. You simply make your mortgage payment and you live every month. Okay, so the price ranges from $400,000 to $480,000. When some of my investors bought into this project a year or 2 ago, I'd say closer to 2 years, these were somewhere in like $280,000 they were starting, and I think the larger ones were maybe $375, finished basements, fireplace, all the bells and whistles, and now they're at $480K, and this is an hour out of the city, right? As I said, finished basements. They have bungalows and 2-story options for people, floor plans, and the rent on these is typically $950 to $2,000 per month. So again, it's a really great opportunity. The purchase price is not too high. Whether you're a first-time home buyer looking just to purchase an investment property that you can build equity, build money, sell, take that money and buy, in Toronto area, if that's where you want to be. That's one option, right? As a first-time home buyer, your first property could be that investment property to help to build, okay? If you are somebody who currently owns, having a low deposit option is amazing because you can take that cash, put it into the house. There is no mortgage payments, property insurance, or property taxes or anything like that that you have to pay during that 1 year or 2 years that the home is being built. You're simply almost like putting your money in that bank account and allowing it to grow. And it's a great way to access equity to grow. Okay, so this is a really great project. The second one here, 20 to 30K quick close waterfront semis and townhomes. So if you have seen me on social media, I know some of you guys are new, but I like to share some of these projects, and people have been absolutely just loving what they're seeing here. And so 20 to 30 down for the deposit. They're quick closes, so typically they're closing like 30, 60, 90 days, sometimes 120, but it's right on the waterfront. It's actually the last developing waterfront in the GTA. You're minutes from the highway. Obviously, you're close to the waterfront, the marina. They built a really cute little park that I like to take my son to swing and enjoy. There's a GO station that they are extending here, and I think it's a GO bus station at this time, but it is actually going to be the GO train stop. And the cool thing is that in this neighborhood, so most of these homes are valued, I'm going to say in the 500 to 600s, like maybe 559. There are some that some of the back-to-backs I think are 400, but the properties in the same area are like also going up to 1 million, 1.3 million. So the value that you have in being able to own a property in a waterfront community is absolutely amazing. So that is another project. And number 3, there are some other lower deposit opportunities that I've kind of worked through. So there's some semi-detaches that are 7%. That's in Guelph area. There are some 1 semi and 1 townhouse left at a particular project in Woodstock. That's 40K down. This project I saw start in the 200s, and these properties are now over 500,000 now. So I bought into this project, so obviously I believe in the area. And then there's also in North Oshawa, I've had some clients investing there as well. They have a 10% down extended deposit structure. It's a really cool and exciting area because they're close to Durham College, close to the highways, and there's just been a lot of growth. An example of an extended deposit structure, let's say for North Oshawa, was $5,000 at signing, the balance of 5% in 30 days. So you do have to have some cash on hand. But from there, it's $1,000 a month spread out over 12 months. And that's how they got their deposit down. So there are a lot of opportunities. Please don't think that you can't break into the market, because you can. You just need to make sure you do your research, you're open-minded, and you stay connected to people who do this, who are watching the market for you guys, okay? So at the end, I'm gonna give my contact information. I didn't wanna waste too much time, or not waste, sorry. I didn't wanna spend too much time on this right now because it may not be for everybody. So feel free to contact me afterwards and I can send you some of the details. Okay, so I do a lot of pre-construction real estate. It's actually how I first started and got into real estate as a real estate agent, was purely pre-construction. So pre-construction typically closes within 1 to 2 years. Some of the projects, downtown condos, you might see 3 years. Projects get delayed, might see 4 years. All good. As an investor, all good. Like I said, there are no payments or financial obligations from the time you finish putting that deposit down until the time of closing. Just let the property sit, let it build and make you money, okay? We love pre-construction. So again, there are typically extended deposit structures, and oftentimes from 10 to 20% down. I personally think that's great. I see it as a forced savings. If you know that every month you have to have that $1,000 to put down towards building your future generational wealth, towards building your retirement plan, you are forced to make sure that you have the money in that account to meet that obligation. And so in that way, any money that you may have going out towards coffee and dinners and whatnot that aren't going to serve your ultimate purpose, get cut out, because you have to make those payments. I think it's a very powerful and strategic commitment to make. And again, with pre-construction, the idea is that we're buying at today's price with the expectation and belief that future prices will rise. I have done a video on YouTube. Again, I'll connect with you guys after. And I did a video on how to identify a boom town, okay? A boom town is like, there's new developments coming in. There's some little, check boxes that we want to make sure that these cities are having. And it almost works like a crystal ball. You can kind of project, we have to be careful with speculation, of course, because like who predicted COVID, right? So these things do happen, but ultimately you have an idea that, what we've seen happen in the past is going to continue to happen in the future. And if these areas and projects have those general makeup, then we can predict very reasonably that the property values in these areas are going to rise, and they're going to rise well. So again, we do our research, we identify the boom towns, we put our money down, we relax, and it grows. Okay. With pre-construction, you typically do have a 10-day cooling off period. So once we've locked in on a unit, you put your money down, you have 10 days, go and talk to your mortgage broker, go and talk to your financial advisor. Don't let them talk you out of it, but help work with them to put together a plan. You have 1 or 2 years to improve your credit, to get more money down. You know that maybe you need to boost your income by $10,000 or $15,000. Strategize. How are you going to do that? If that 10-day period is to make sure that moving forward with this, things are going to work well, and you're going to be able to close some way down the line, if that's your choice. And we'll get to the next strategy in a minute. So any building concerns, so another benefit of buying pre-construction, any like your shingles fall off or I don't know, something happens with the pre-construction, it is a new, nice, beautiful property. And sometimes when we're buying resale, especially as an investment property, you have to kind of factor in these little things that are going to go wrong. But with pre-construction, you have a 7-year warranty on a lot of these items. So it's new, you can buy it, you have a peace of mind, you're renting it out. It's, it's working quite nice. All right. The other thing sometimes people fear is, well, what if I put my deposit down and the project closes? That did happen to some projects, especially in the Vaughan area. I have some agents who kind of know a little bit more on the back end, like some of the major brokerages. And it kind of felt, what happened in some of these situations was they didn't have the city's permission yet. They just thought they were going to get it. And they started building and selling units. And ultimately the city said no in the end. And so there was tons of people who bought into this project, but everybody got their deposit back, okay? So there's something called the carry-on warranty. As these builders go through, they have to make sure that they basically are insured. So your deposit is safe. And if anything happens with the project, you will definitely get your deposit back in full. So you don't have to be afraid of that in terms of investing in a pre-construction, okay? The other benefit of doing pre-construction, as I kind of tipped into a little bit, is new is better in the resale market. So if you have purchased with the intention of selling after a year or two, you have one of the nicer, newer, more modern models available as inventory in the area. And so when your new shiny house is put on the market, it's going to be a lot easier to sell than some of the older properties. So it does hold its value there. If you are putting it on the market to rent as an investment property, same idea. I've found you can typically charge more rent for your 3-bedroom versus an older 3-bedroom, so it serves you very well. And also, which we will get into next, is the assignment strategy. So this is a really powerful and cool strategy with pre-construction, which provides a little bit of flexibility for you, and we will hop into that next. This is just an example of one of the projects we have now that's a 10% down project. Beautiful, beautiful home on a ravine lot, the pond. Again, just awesome, awesome opportunities, awesome opportunities. All right. So assignment sales. This is a strategy that a lot of people have used very, very successfully to build wealth, okay? I don't want to jump ahead too much, but some people maybe have the money, but know that they're not going to be able to qualify for the mortgage, or maybe they just don't want to. So sometimes people will basically put the money down to purchase the property. So they've got the agreement of purchase and sale. And so what they're going to do with the assignment is basically sell the interest of the property to another buyer before closing. So you go and found this awesome condo project downtown Toronto. You put the deposit down, but you don't want to close on the mortgage. As you get closer to the time of closing, 2-3 years down the line, so you bought at 100,000, 2-3 years down the line, it's now worth 300,000. You sell at 300,000 and you would cash out on the equity. Of course, you're taking away realtor fees and taxes and stuff, which I'll get into, but you've grown that initial $50,000 that you put down and now have got 200,000, right? Just numbers. Obviously, we're not buying a condo in Toronto at $100,000, but just wanted to paint that the idea, okay? So the new buyer assumes the deal as it was negotiated by the original buyer. So whatever that initial agreement of the APS that you had with the builder, the new person is taking it on. Any assignment fees, as I said, are paid to the builder, and the new assignee will go off with your project, of course, with the property, sorry. So of course, it's very important when we're using assignment strategies that we're buying in those booming areas, the areas that are, really performing well, and we know that people are going to want to buy, and we know that the property value is going to raise. Okay, so basically, due to the lag in time from your purchase to the time of close, the purchaser situation may also change. So as I was going through in the previous pre-construction, let's say you're buying with the intention to actually close and move into that beautiful Springbank property you saw. But let's say you have to move, you have a change of job or loss of job or somehow a change in your situation, and you're not in a position to close, because remember, these properties are closing into the future. An assignment strategy or assignment clause is something that I always negotiate for my buyers when we're doing pre-construction to allow you that flexibility. And so again, then you could implement that assignment strategy to make sure that you don't lose your deposit, and hopefully be able to, again, cash out on a little bit of equity, which will help you on your way, whichever way you need to go. Okay, again, typo, sorry. Investors use this strategy to build capital on their gained equity. It's a strategy I've used, tons of people have used it, and it works very, very well, okay? The profit that is made on the sale is taxable, and how that goes is, let's say you purchased at 100,000 and it went to 2. So you've made 100,000. You're going to pay taxes on 50% of it. So you're going to pay taxes on $50,000, and it's going to be according to your tax bracket. So let's say you're in a 10% tax bracket. So 10% of 50,000 is 5. Like to use simple numbers. I hope that makes sense. Okay. So that's how it works. Your capital gains 50% of your profit, taxed according to your tax bracket. And also should mention your assignee, so the person who is taking over that agreement of purchase and sale, is going to have to take care of all the closing costs. So you will get like your deposit amount back, you have your equity back, they're going to pay the HST, any land transfer taxes on their new property. All right, so don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. It works. Over time, you know, we certainly do have these little fluctuations in the market, but holding on and staying strong and knowing where we're trying to go, having that grand vision is going to work with you. Over time, real estate prices, your value increases. Okay, that was a graph. All right, so the buy and hold strategy, this is a strategy that works for me. This is a strategy that I believe in. It's ultimately the one that I follow. I have no intention of selling any of my properties from here on out. Okay, so it is a long-term investment strategy, and rent moderates these little market fluctuations that you have. So if there is a time when the market may be dipping and your property value may be going down a little bit, you can still stand strong, because in that time, the economy, especially in GTA area with immigrants, and again, as I said, all these industries, we do have people here that need to live in houses. You have one, it is something of value, you can rent it, and you know, as long as you've taken care of it and invested in something good, you can rent it, and you can kind of weather through those little ups and downs. Your monthly revenue should exceed your monthly expenses. So this is something very important that I believe in, and something that I really try to help my investors and buyers do. Even if the property is, you know, costing you $50 or $100 out of your pocket every month, I just feel like that can kind of weigh on you a little bit. And when it comes time to have to, you know, make a repair or this or that, I just feel it takes away a little bit. So to me, when I'm helping my investors work with something, I really do my very best to make sure that we're buying in areas, again, where that rental amount is going to cover the mortgage, so that you can see a little bit of cash flow. I'd rather you have a little extra $25, $50, whatever it is in your pocket, even if it's just that at the bare minimum, than having it come out, because as you're making that little bit of cash flow, the property is still building equity. And I want the property to take care of itself just to serve you, okay? Equity increases with time. And again, as I mentioned, it's a way of just building generational wealth, because, you know, your portfolio expands to 8 or 10 properties. You have one for your kids. You know, it's just something as an inheritance that can go on and serve everybody, right? So a 5-step process as far as the buy and hold strategy goes. You're finding the right property. You are being strategic. You're working with a strong, motivated, knowledgeable team that's going to help to guide you. You're going to finance the property. Then you're considering the monthly carrying cost of this property. You're going to add value. So we're choosing in a growing and developing area, doing little things, maintaining the, you know, landscaping or updating a bathroom or kitchen here or there over time. You want to maintain the value and add the value to the property so it continues to grow. You're managing your property. So I always tell my investors, please show up at your house. I know I've helped you set up everything. It's smooth, it's easy, but please show up. You know, do walkthroughs, make sure that your tenants are doing what they need to do. And if you are taking good care and you show interest in your property, your tenants will do the same, okay? And you can just have more of a peace of mind experience. Managing your property also means being mindful of who you're putting into your property. So doing proper screening. And if you've done your due diligence, you will have a really good experience. I can certainly say that, you know, I haven't had any major disasters with any of my tenants. Some of my tenants I just really actually love, and we feel like we're family, and, you know, birthdays and this and that is a good thing. So, you know, again, if you're doing a good job of being mindful of who's going to be in your home, and from beginning to end, credit checks, following up with applications, checking in on references, you know, comparing pay stubs and bank stubs and bank statements and stuff, and making sure everything is aligned. You've done your due diligence. You can have a peace of mind experience, and it's good. It's wonderful. Okay. And always preparing for the unexpected. Make sure that you put a little away for things, because things do happen. Like in one of my rental properties, raccoon pulled off some of the shingles and had babies in my roof. And so I had to make sure I had a couple of $100 available to make sure that we could safely move the babies out, and the tenants were happy and could sleep. So things happen, okay? So 1 or 2 buy and hold properties a year will certainly transform your portfolio. You spread out what needs to work, what works for you. Of course, joint ventures, partnering with somebody or a few people is going to help you to grow a lot faster. If you're doing it on your own, which I've done, you just have to make sure you're having a solid program and plan of how you're moving forward with that. Yes, fortunately, getting started with them is not as difficult as you may think. And I hope that I'm showing you guys some good opportunities and ways to get that done. Okay, this is just a sample of a really nice house, a resale house that's available. This one, even when you're buying a resale, it may not be perfectly set up for exactly what you want to do, but when you're buying, maybe there's an opportunity to utilize a separate entrance or an entrance from a garage. It has a finished basement. You really have to have vision. Everything isn't going to always come to you perfectly packaged with a bow. Sometimes you got to work with it a little bit. And if you are strategic and you're open-minded, these opportunities are things you want to hop on. Okay. So BRRRR strategy, this one also is very cool. So we'll walk you through this here. So with the BRRRR strategy, you're going to essentially buy a rental property as if you're going to flip it. You're putting like 80% in. You refinance it. You're going to get all of your cash back plus any long-term rental income because you're going to hold it for a little while. And then you use those funds to buy your next property. All right, so this is the BRRRR strategy. So first, you're going to buy. So you're going to source a good deal, okay? So it's good if you can buy a property where you're trying to use the BRRRR strategy a little bit under market value. So it may be that you're going to do a cash buy if you've taken equity out of your properties to buy it. It's going to be something that has a very good price to value. Sometimes you can get a good deal from a distressed seller. So when I say distressed seller, I do not mean a distressed property. I mean someone who's in a position that needs to or wants to just kind of get the property off their hands. And maybe it's, somebody going through a divorce, so you're helping them move on. It could be someone who's inherited a property and they just need to get rid of it. They don't want to manage it, or it's a burden trying to manage it. And again, you're negotiating these things to help them, okay? You're helping them, you're helping yourself as well. I post sometimes for my leases, or all the time, I post them up on like Kijiji, as well as a number of other mediums. But sometimes I get a call just from a rental property, and people looking for distressed sellers are like, hey, I noticed that you have this property for rent. I know that you didn't list it to buy, but I'm looking to buy. Is this something that you might like? Because sometimes people are in that position. So again, open mind. There are investor websites, the classified, as I mentioned, something like Kijiji, as well as for sale by owners. Sometimes there are people who prefer not to use a realtor in selling your home, and they get into trouble because they don't necessarily know what they should be doing. And you may be able to get a good discount on the property with that as well. Okay, so we want to source a good deal. Next is renos. So you want to look at the cost of the work versus the increase in value that it's going to bring you. So for example, if you are doing a kitchen reno and it costs $10,000 and it increases the value of your property by $15,000, this investment of $10,000 is giving you a 50% return, okay? So here's math. You've done $15,000 in increased value. You're taking away as much money as you've invested. The return is $5K. You divide it by the amount invested, 10%, a 50% return. So you can work with these numbers to get an idea to see how profitable your upgrades and investments have been. So less expensive upgrades are typically going to give you a higher return on your investment. So I definitely try to guide my clients with this as well. Ways of just boosting value to your property is maybe doing a bathroom upgrade, a kitchen upgrade in specific ways. It doesn't have to be over the top, but in the end, it really does raise that value up. So for example, let's say you've put $5K into upgrading your kitchen. You redid the countertops, and then instead of getting all new cupboards, you painted them, okay? And by doing that, the house looks a little cuter. You can increase your rent by $100 per month. So this is going to increase your income, $1,200 a year, and that's going to be a 24% return on your $5K investment. Okay, versus a 10K reno. You've gone in, you've redone the countertops, you put in new faucet, new sink, changed the cupboards, and whatever. So 10K. With this, you're now able to increase the rent by $150 a month. This is only going to give you an 18% return. So please be mindful about what you're doing and make sure that the numbers make sense so it's encouraging for you to keep going. If you're not tracking properly, you're not being diligent, you're going to lose money and it's going to be discouraging. Okay. But again, real estate is an awesome vehicle when you've taken your time and you're doing it properly. Okay. So after we've bought the good property, we've sourced a good deal, we've renoed the property to add value within reason, so we're getting a good return on our investment, then you can rent the property. Get lots of exposure. I talked a little bit about making sure we're screening the property because you've just done upgrades and you want the person you put into your house to maintain the beautiful upgrades that you've done. Again, maintaining the property, reward your tenants like at Christmas time. Give them something nice, and on birthdays, if you happen to remember, like just little things to show that you care about your tenants. Reward them. Reward them for maintaining your property, and make sure you have a really solid lease agreement, because if you do have any disputes, even someone's smoking in your house and they shouldn't be, you can always go back to the lease and say, hey, these are the things that you're supposed to be abiding by. Okay, so you rent it out. This is your investment. This is your asset. You want to protect it. What you do next is a refinance. So you want to access your added value, and it's typically up to 80% value you can pull. There have been some little recent changes with COVID and all this kind of stuff. So I would say to just check in with the mortgage broker, make sure in the current market, if this is something you want to do, what does that look like? But typically you're accessing up to 80% of your added value. This is cash back in your pocket. You're getting back what you've invested, and now you can go and do it again, right? So now most banks are going to require that you have done at least 6 months, and we call it of seasoning your property, before they're going to allow you to pull out that equity that you gained. All right. So you bought the property in January, you did all your work, you've had it rented all the way out until the summer, June, July. Now you can go to the bank and you can access some of those funds. Okay. This means when seasoning, this means that the property has been stable, fixed, and rented for about 6 months. And this is, of course, to justify this higher price point with some evidence and stability that you've been able to improve the rents and everything like that. Okay. So the last thing I wanted to get into was some of what's going on in the market today. And it's definitely a buyer's market. I have, I've had some friends, some realtor friends kind of say, they're not getting into the market. They're just going to sit, they're going to wait. And when all this kind of blows past, we'll bring the clients back out and we'll kind of help them. I've had some people who are sitting on the sidelines saying, prices are going to fall, market's going to crash. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. What we have going on right now is a little bit unique. It's not like we had any major economic issues and the market is crashing due to those. What's going on right now is due to, this health epidemic that's going on right now. I'm going to talk about some of the factors that affect our market and what I predict, if I may, what may kind of going on using statistics and other people's input as well. Okay, so today is the buyer's market, but what we're seeing is that generally there's less inventory and less buyers. We had a little bit of a dip, and those numbers, depending on the reports that I was looking at, was like 64 to 70% drop. So 64 to 70% less houses on the market, but also 64 to 70% less buyers on the market. The average, and it totally depends on different areas, but year over year, the properties tend to be growing about 10%. We've had some years where things have shot up. There's certain areas, like when I work with pre-construction, like in a Guelph area, year over year, they're appreciating like 14%, 16%. So depending on where you are, is a little bit different. But what some of the reports are seeing right now is that the detached properties, especially some of the higher priced, notice a little bit of a dip in their cost. So, it is a good opportunity for people who have been looking to trade up and get into a larger property at a really good price. Now is the time. Also, because there's less buyers in the market, some of my clients who have been looking and trying to get into the market for the past 2 or 3 years. And there are some people who have been diligently seeking home ownership, but couldn't get in because they have a set pre-approved amount, but they haven't been able to get in because of the competition. Houses continually selling over asking and getting into multiple offers. And I was able to get some of these people into their property finally because not all that extra competition is there. Okay. So that's what I would say about that. Suffice it to say, I did have a property, a listing recently. It was a semi-detached and it sold way over asking, and we had a cajillion offers. But generally speaking, this is what we're seeing. Okay, a little bit less competition, a little bit easier to buy, and the prices have come down, making it a little bit easier to access. Okay, we also have the effect of with the travel restrictions. So foreign buyers and immigrants really play a large part in those purchasing properties and in the demand that we have. So because we've had some of these travel restrictions, we do again have a little bit less foreign buyers in the market, and that's keeping it pretty good for the local economy and helping some of the prices be a little bit lower for our buyers. Okay, so prices have dipped and risen. So I guess slowly what we're starting to see right now, initially when the health scare kind of came into effect, a lot of people were just holding out. They didn't want to get into the market. Prices kind of went down, but we're starting to see a little bit more activity in the market. And I'm saying this just from personal experience, and some of my friends who have listings, they're saying, yeah, we're noticing things are picking up. The weather is getting nicer, where more people are coming out. So, you know, it did dip, but it's starting to come back up a little bit. What we'll notice over continued months is that there is generally some momentum and pent up demand. So people who wanted to sell have been waiting for the market to be a little bit more stable. So they're waiting for that opportunity to jump back in. And so when some people are thinking, oh, the prices are going to drop. I don't know. I don't know how long we're going to experience this little dip because people need to buy and sell. That's just a reality of what we've been seeing. It was deemed an essential service. I have clients who need to buy and who need to sell right now. And that's just the reality of it. So I do think that the market is going to return due to all these factors. And some sources and studies I've been reading should say like by the end of the year, we will be back on track. Entering into the summer, I was actually going to do a video. I didn't end up doing it, but I was going to talk about how those who are kind of waiting and fear of getting into the market and stuff, you know, this year was getting back to the kind of year we saw in, was it 2017? Like all those prices, the value of the properties were way up. And I was starting to see that happening again, just entering in maybe February, March, like prices were really coming back up and we were expecting to have a really hot market. So again, I would say don't underestimate how fast things may return in terms of prices and demand. So if you are in a position and you have been thinking of buying, you may want to really get things in motion a lot sooner than maybe you may have thought. Okay, open houses have been you know, a major source of getting people to come out and view and buy and generating competition. And as I mentioned, I do a lot of pre-construction as well. And so a lot of the builders were holding out on launching their projects. However, with the use of technology, Matterport technology, virtual tours, I've done a number of Facebook Lives for some of my listings. We've found ways of servicing people in other ways, okay, using technology, e-signing documents and getting deals done. So where the market again was not halted, but really slowed, it is going to pick up again. And as things kind of continue, we'll probably see a mix of this technology in more traditional ways. But again, the market is going to come back. So from what I've seen and what I've read, as we get into the fourth quarter, so September, October, we're seeing a mix of these things. And the regular prices should probably start to come back up around that time and in towards the new year. Okay. Another point I should say was with that little pause of pre-construction properties. So I think typically we expect like 215,000, or that's what was expected for 2020. 215,000 new properties were going to be built, but we had about 50 or 60K less. So it's just going to be only about 150,000 new properties entering the market during 2020. I think we do have that little imbalance or shift with immigration and stuff. But I think, again, just the demand of people wanting to buy and there potentially being less inventory could kind of cause those prices to come back up again. So that's kind of what's going on in the market. I am going to open up for your questions. Oh no, for your questions very shortly. Nope, I lost it. Okay. But I wanted to make sure that we can connect. So on the next slide, I will. As I mentioned, I do hold a lot of events and seminars, plan reviews specific for people to understand what is available in the market, going into details. I do wellness, as I mentioned. Mindset is a big piece of this, and making sure that we want to be successful, we need to have the right thoughts. So sometimes we're in banks, we hold seminars. I want to make sure that I stay connected with all of you guys, and we dive deeper into a lot of these little points that I kind of skimmed over today. So I want to really thank you all, and thank you, David, for inviting me here. I'm very passionate, as I mentioned and shared my story, I'm very passionate about helping people. I'm very passionate about helping people to have their very best lives, be the very best versions of themselves. And so I just, I'm really grateful for the opportunity to get before you guys and share some of this information. I'm sure you saw me get a little excited when I was talking about certain things, but it's just because I really want to see all of you guys succeed and do very well. So please stay focused, stay diligent, in making your dreams a reality. My email is there. stephlowe at manorhillrealty.com. I am on Instagram, and on Instagram, stephlowe realtor is my real estate handle. So you'll see me posting a lot about new pre-construction projects, motivation, mindset kind of stuff there. I do have a WhatsApp broadcast list, so you can feel free to send me a text message if you have WhatsApp, and I can get some of those projects and information out to you, or just add you to my broadcast list so you can know what's up and know when next seminars and whatnot are coming up. And I do have a newsletter, so my7figurelifestyle.com. If you were to go to that website, you'll be able to subscribe. And again, I just send out stuff, let you guys know what's new and exciting. I may send them once a month. I may send them once every other month. It's not something you're going to be getting every day, but it's just to kind of keep you, you know, knowledgeable and giving you access to all kinds of different tools that are going to help you. So thank you.
Awesome.
Yes,
awesome. Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much again. I'll just wait if anybody has any questions. Some of the questions that I got on private message was kind of answered. One especially was the market now on, you know, with the COVID situation, but you explained that it's still a good time to invest regardless, right? And this would be your best option to jump in the market. So yeah, thank you so much. I'll just wait for anybody to.
I have a question. Hello?
Yes, go ahead. I can hear you.
Hi, I just had a question. It wasn't really something that you mentioned, but I have seen a lot of it going around because I'm trying to look into getting in the market. You see a lot of these ads on like Kijiji of people saying, it's not like people, it's like a realtor advertising. I don't know what you call it, but it pretty much, if you have, it's like something that if you have good credit and like very little debt and stuff like that, that you could get a mortgage without like a 5% down. Have you heard of that? I don't know if you.
I have not heard of that in Canada. I know that that could happen in the US, but here 5% down is going to be what you would need to work with at a minimum as a first-time buyer. And as a first-time buyer, it may even be that you have bought previously and sold, you just have to wait. Again, it could be 4 years, 7 years. I don't remember exactly what it is. But yeah, usually you need to have that deposit or down payment because it's a loan to value and ratios and all that. Again, I'm not a mortgage broker. I'm a realtor. But yeah, I'm not aware of those in Canada. I don't know if there is. I'm not sure if Anna Lay was able to hop on here today. But yeah, usually that down payment is going to be 5 to 10% down. They may, I don't really know what they're talking about. They may not be being straightforward about something. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay, because I've heard, like, I've seen them at actual like realtors. You know, they say, like, they're saying, like, if you have like good credit and stuff, then I guess the bank will give like your money to put in your RSP and kind of working through. But I don't know. I heard.
So you do need to have a down payment. It can come from your RSPs, and it would need to be at least 5% down if you qualify. So that's good credit, stable income, and that to be able to go down. But you will need to have a down payment. If you yourself don't have the money, it may come from a joint venture. It may be some money you inherit from a family member. But when getting that loan, you do need to have some amount to put down.
Can I ask one more question? Sorry.
Of course.
What about I've heard about a flex down. Have you heard of flex down? Like, say I heard like I'm not too sure about all this. That's why I'm kind of asking.
That's okay.
They have if you want to buy a home, like I guess if you're a first time buyer and you want to buy a home and you don't have the full 5%, that you can do something called a flex down. Have you heard about it?
So when it comes time for you to close on your property, the amount that you need to put down is determined with your mortgage broker and your lender. Okay, so whether it's 5% down that you particularly require based on credit, income, debt ratio, they'll determine that particular amount. Now, there are things like extended deposits. There are things like rent to own opportunities where you can put down that money over time. It's spread out. It is a flexible deposit structure. But ultimately, when it comes down to the time of you going on title, you have to have that down payment in place to put down to be able to move into ownership of the actual property. So something like an RTO, for example, a rent to own, they may require 3% now. You live in the house renting it for 2 years and you pay the rent plus another little extra bit, which goes towards savings. And then at the end of your 2-year term, you have a total of 5% down or 10% down, whatever it is. And then you take over ownership. An extended deposit structure would be, for example, when I was showing you guys the pre-construction. So for example, the 10% in North Oshawa, they have an extended deposit structure, $5,000 at signing, balance of 5% in 30 days, and then $1,000 every month until you have acquired 10% down deposit. Okay, so there is flexibility on some projects. It's not typically up to you. It's typically up to the lender or the builder as to what that process ultimately or plan ultimately looks like. But there are certainly opportunities like that out there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We have a question from Melissa. You're on.
Yeah. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My question was about the benefit of, and if you can kind of explain the benefit of having a realtor if you're looking at pre-construction and what some of the benefits would be from that perspective.
Sure. I am, like I said, largely a pre-construction and listing agent. So as I'm doing that, I know what to watch out for my buyer, right? The builder has the contract and everything set in their best interests. To the buyer, there's no cost for you to use a realtor. Those fees are paid by the builder. So when you work with a realtor, they're able to go over the contract. And like I said, I always make sure that my clients have an assignment clause. I'm negotiating to get everything in terms of incentives, going back and forth to get all of those things put in place. Because as a buyer, especially if you're new to the market, You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you should be looking out for. Also, a realtor can help understand what it is that you're trying to do, whether you are investing or buying a property for the first time. And they can help advise you and guide you, right? If you're just going out there, you don't have much knowledge on your own, who's going to help you to navigate through the system, right? So again, the builders and those sales agents have their best interests at heart, and you should have someone representing your best interests that you can trust and who is well aware of the market as well. The realtor may know something that you don't know, even in terms of the project. And as I said, as a buyer, working with the agent is not a cost to you.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have Michelle asking if you can, I guess, share after the pre-construction projects that you mentioned as well. And then we also have, I think you also covered this too. If you have 5%, what would the government match? And as you said, it was 5% on resale, and then 10% on a pre-construction.
Mm-hmm. And there's a process that you have to go through to qualify, of course. I was going to get into that today, but it's a lot. So I would say if you need help, if you don't know a mortgage broker, I have some really great brokers you can connect with and can help guide you through that process in terms of qualifying and knowing how much that you would be able to access.
Perfect. And I guess
for those who wanted the information on the pre-construction projects or any information just to connect, all of my information is posted right now on the slide. So feel free to WhatsApp me or just sign up at my7figurelifestyle.com and subscribe, or email me, like I said, or see me on Instagram. You'll see I have a lot of information out there. So if you want more, just reach out.
Thank you so much.
I have a question. Hi, first of all, tonight's session was very, very informative, and I will be connecting with you offline as well, as I have a few other questions. But with today's market and, you know, things like COVID related and pricing and whatnot, I know I have a group of friends who recently went into a pre-construction build. They did not use a realtor, and I don't believe they had an assignment clause you had mentioned. And you know, with things that recently happened, lost job, lost wages, they're kind of in a tight position now. Is it too late to get an assignment clause after the fact, or does that always have to be done up front?
Because it wasn't a part of the original contract, the builder doesn't have to allow it, and they can just take the deposit and sell the property to someone new at the new value. It's not a major loss to them to take it away, especially if, like, it's, I don't know, a condo project or whatnot. I would suggest that person who's in that tight situation, I'm very sorry that they're in that situation. So they should just reach out to the builder, be honest, be transparent, and hopefully the builder will work with them on something. If it's not in the original contract, I can't say that they will. And also, if it's not worked out in the original contract in terms of the actual assignment fee, the builder may choose to request a high fee to be able to move forward with that, because there's legal costs and things that the builder has to take into account to be able to go through with the assignment. So yeah, just beg and plead and reach out, and hopefully the builder will help instead of just taking away.
Yeah, I'll definitely have them connect with you just to get more information, because I think that they're in the position where they could use that information. So worst case scenario though, do you just lose the deposit, or do you lose all your monthly down payments combined as well?
Well, if the monthly down payments were probably going towards their deposit, right? So maybe they had an extended deposit structure, or are they in their occupancy phase?
I believe they had a extended deposit structure.
Yeah, if the builder chooses not to assign and they can't close, then they have to walk away from their deposit, all of the money that they put down.
Okay.
Work with a realtor. We're not here to harm.
Definitely suggest that for them for the future. It's good to know.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? Make sure I didn't miss anything in the chat. I had someone ask where the pre-construction, where they are held. So yeah, reach out to me I guess I misread that question. So Manor Hill Realty is my brokerage, and so I will usually do plan reviews and hold meetings and stuff. So that's why I wrote Manor Hill Realty in Toronto. So I'm sorry I misread that. It looks like I've answered everyone's questions, Stephen.
Yeah, I think it was a real mouthful, but you did an excellent job again, and it was a very informative session where, I believe we got a lot and are encouraged to invest and, just plan for the future, right? I think now, with everything going on, that it's a great time to even just consider, testing the waters. So I really appreciate your time, and I'm pretty sure everybody as well enjoyed this session.
All right, thank you.
So if everybody, we can close off here. If you guys want to say thank you, unmute your mics, and yeah, her information is there where you can reach out to her, and then,
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you very much.
It was very informative. Gave me a lot to think about moving forward, and I really appreciate that. I will contact you as well. Thanks.
Marcus.
All right, you guys.
All right.
Good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Especially thank you to the youth that are online as well, just taking in the session. Hopefully there is a lot for them to think about moving forward in the future. So have a blessed night, everyone. Until we meet again.